Welcome to Words of Wisdom by Wiser. I'm Eduarda Zoghbi, and I'm excited to be today's host with Alison Hall, Deputy Consul General at the British Embassy in Dubai. She's going to be talking about her experience living in different countries and serving the British Embassy, as well as climate, energy, and how her work is enabling the net zero transition worldwide. And we're very excited to have her as an inspiring leader to our network. Just, to get the conversation started, I know you're very busy, you work a lot, you travel a lot. So I was just curious to start by learning, how do you, enjoy your free time? What do you do to relax and forget a little bit about work?
Sure. Well, as you know, I live here in the UAE, and I think a lot of people are familiar with, that Dubai and Abu Dhabi and fabulous cities. But actually at the weekends, what a lot of people don't know is that there's some fabulous places, especially out in the north and the east, even the south, that you can go out and be hiking and seeing some different types of landscapes. So that's what I like to do. I like to get out and see the mountains and the wadis and the heritage of this country and learn a little bit more about it at the same time.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's very similar to me. I spent a while, 5 years living in New York, actually, and I've never realized how much I need nature around me constantly to feel like I'm in peace, that I'm grounded. So I do feel like when you have free time, it's so important to just take a moment and just be around trees and be around, nature. Helps you, take it all in.
It does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And there's a great variety here that a lot of people don't know about.
For those of us listening that don't know exactly how, an embassy works, can you speak a little bit about the role of the British Embassy with diplomatic issues such as climate change, and how is the FCDO supporting this vision of innovation in the energy sector?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's on all sorts of different levels. So I can talk about two or three of them. We have things on the government level. So we're supporting the government's efforts through intergovernmental organizations. Here I've been at the International Renewable Energy Agency's Assembly, and organizations like IRENA do fantastic work in helping countries to transition to renewable energy. Some of that's analytical, some of it's about support in the field. It's giving a forum for different countries to share their experience and learning and to help each other, which I think leads me on to one of the next areas, which of course is in the development space and development cooperation. The energy transition has so many different layers to it, and I think it will only work if we all come together and share what we've learned. So I'm here in the UAE, so there's a lot of sharing with the UAE, but also the opportunities then for us to work together in third countries. So governments and embassies can support that. And then perhaps the other end of the spectrum, we've got our support to businesses and science and innovation and universities. So here we've got a fabulous team from our Department for Business and Trade who are taking forward all sorts of initiatives, supporting the energy transition and supporting some fabulous leaders, including some fabulous women leaders in that space.
And it's so important. So as I was talking to you before we started recording, back in the day when I used to work for the British Embassy, it's interesting how, 10 years ago, some of the subjects in the energy transition that we're dealing with today were not very well spoken of, in Brazil. One of the themes being, energy storage. I remember that the UK was really pushing for the bilateral cooperation with Brazil to start already investing in battery energy systems. And, that was when it was so, cutting edge. We were talking about like renewables, sure. But I think that the government still saw it, the intermittency factor, as something that would prevent us from scaling renewable energy. And there was like the UK, mission trying to really like push the government and show that it was possible. And I think that these are like the levers that when you look at cooperation are so important for the first few steps before investors come and before you start really building the projects that will, change the game.
Yeah, I think that's right. Also, something that our government's been working very hard on, and together with a lot of the countries who are leading the energy transition, is a global Clean Power Alliance, the GCPA. It's really looking at where the countries who are leaders can come together and share and help each other and help find, what are the things that are maybe blocked in maybe it's something in the technology, maybe it's something in the regulation, and looking at what we can do together when we pool our experience to try and crack some of these tricky issues that then helps, the whole world to move forward with the transition.
So it's really exciting, all the work that the embassy is doing to support women. Like, do you have other initiatives that you're working on or hoping to, further develop?
Something coming up in the next couple of months, which is quite exciting, is the Green Builders Initiative. It's a competition where companies can compete and pitch their ideas around, infrastructure and the low carbon transition. We've also been working on a program called GAIN, which is Girls Are Investors. And this was part of Abu Dhabi Finance Week here, where we hosted an event during Abu Dhabi Finance Week. But again, it's looking at that intersection between the finance world and sustainability, which is so important. Also, we're supporting collaboration between the different universities, whether it's engineering or management skills or other areas of innovation. We've got a science and innovation team at the embassy who are looking at different opportunities to bring innovators together, that I think in a way that then leads back to what we were talking about the energy transition as well.
Going back to your point on finance, it's interesting. We talk a lot about the underrepresentation of women in the energy sector, but in finance, the numbers are also not the best. And so I'm currently working for the Climate Investment Fund.
Really?
Yeah, for the Climate Investment Funds. And one thing I noticed is that how much understanding finance is a cross-cutting topic in almost every single sector you work with.
Yeah.
So, from climate to energy, understanding the role of, climate finance and how you can bring in different investors and how that leads to development in countries, how does, the challenges are for recipient countries in accessing finance and vice versa. I think that bringing women who, are willing and open to understanding and learning more about finance from not just like their roles as entrepreneurs, but also in for example, doing financial modeling themselves and understanding what are the different types of, funding that can go into a project. Like, I think this level of knowledge is that important for us to also advance on climate change. Because I don't know about your experience at COP, but I also feel that every single year finance is the top priority.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are so many top priorities, but yes, I mean, it's key. There's some really exciting things going on, but as you say, you need to be able to bring together the skills, whether it's finance skills or other skills, the investors and the ideas.
Yeah. And people are often so scared to talk about finance. I've seen before, like depending on the sector they're in, even within the climate space, it can be, conservation or water management. And sometimes they're very technical on those issues, but then you start discussing finance and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure like what to do or if I'm understanding the topic. So I think that like democratizing access to like that type of knowledge and understanding of finance so that everybody has like equal opportunities to, compete for grants and for, other types of opportunities is also important.
And is that something you're doing through the initiatives that you're working on?
Yes, for sure. One of the things that, the CIF has been working on since COP28 actually is that we announced that we're working closer with the other three multilateral climate funds, the Adaptation Fund, the Global Environment Facility, and the Green Climate Fund, so that we can harmonize a lot of the, methodologies and measurement and tools that we have so that it makes it easier for recipient countries to also access the funds. So there are like a series of things that we're working together with that I think, on a personal level, are going to contribute a lot on how we advance on climate finance for the countries that need it the most.
Yeah, fantastic.
I always like to say that I've been in the climate space since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And, the years are passing by and sometimes you feel less optimistic because you're not seeing real change. Change is already happening, but I think it's just so important to listen. For so long, a lot of our solutions were very top down. And I think that more and more to solve this very challenging problems that we have in the planet, we need bottom up solutions. So I think, and bringing communities, bringing women, marginalized, groups, one very important aspect, I think, is like leadership development. And one of the things that, we like asking our guests is, how do you think we can unlock women's full potential and some of the things that we can do better?
I'm really glad you asked me this, actually, because it gives me an opportunity to talk about a project that we have at the embassy at the moment. But it's one of the many things. So we're running a program at the moment called Great Females Inspire. And this one is not particularly about sustainability, but it's looking at communication skills and other sorts of areas of development. For example, we're working with women in sport, and we're looking at safe sports leadership, but things like that help to give, confidence and well-being that I think can then feed through into whatever these young women go on to do in their lives. We're also supporting some British authors at the Emirates Literature Festival through this, which I think, again, is about increasing the diversity of voices. And I think all of that enabling environment all helps. When you look at women who are on their journey, whether it's in sustainability or in other fields, all the things that I can think help us to see, people who've gone before and how they're using their voices and their skills. There's also, of course, lots of initiatives on women in STEM, which is really, really important. But, I've got an arts background, and yet I'm still here working in sustainability and energy as well.
Yeah. I have also been, trying really hard to work in bringing more women to STEM. So my undergrad was in political science. So my major was humanities all over. But I do have like this partial frustration that when I was in high school, I used to be really good in physics, but not that great in math. So I always thought, well, it's going to be too hard if I get a degree in engineering, for example, or, other types of environmental sciences, because I already knew I wanted to get into this field. But then I went to do my master's in a STEM field and realized how much I think we have this like imposter syndrome and how much that prevents us from getting to the areas we really want to be at. And especially in the energy sector, where we believe most of the positions have to be occupied by engineers. And in reality, like you, I'm also, working in the energy sector as a political scientist. And there are so many different fields that you can pursue, including, communications. And having communication skills is important for every leader in every sector. So it's I really appreciate that you're working on that.
I think it's really interesting what you're saying there as well, because a lot of male or female, a lot of children are asked at an early age, what do you want to be, and sort of get maybe almost forced into sort of choosing something. But actually, when you're that age, you don't necessarily know what all the possibilities are. So I think it's actually great to be able to explore some different ideas and find out what's there and not get boxed into an area too quickly. And also know you can always change. There's always a way to transition from something to something else.
Yes. And I think that this is why we discuss so much the importance of role models, right? So that, children and like teenagers are growing up with certain ideas that they can get there. And I think that that's why, already like happy about how much the Wiser program is investing on this, but also the work that the embassy is doing, across different countries. And I know that it's just important to show like how women can be important in the dialogue and moving the needle and finding solutions. So with that said, what is something that, looking back, you'd like to tell your younger self as a piece of advice?
Yeah, well, I think we just touched on it. I think it would be curious. Be curious, be open-minded, whether it's about what you want to do in the future or something else. I think don't make up your mind too quickly. Look at what's out there, because you never know where the roads might lead.
Yeah. Never stop studying. Never stop
that
working
too.
hard.
Exactly. I was going to say, is that what would your advice be to your younger self?
Oh my God. Very similar, actually. I think that, and as I was saying earlier, I think I would tell myself not to be scared, and to try to pursue the things that even though there are apparent challenges, and for women there are so many, I think it would be to just keep going, that you'll be able to make it, with the right support networks. And we manage to do a lot more than we think we're capable of.
Yeah. And supporting each other as well. I mean, I think you learn, like with mentoring, I've been a mentor and been mentored, but you learn so much through supporting others as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alison.